Yeah, today I wanted to talk about you aren't a slave to your thoughts. When it comes to getting closer to God, when it comes to improving your spiritual journey, reprogramming your subconscious, trying to dissolve this ego that I've been talking about in these last couple of weeks, your thoughts play a major role on what dictates your reality. All right, this might get a lot. Might get a lot more spiritual than it usually has been, but I'd love to open up to you guys, talk to you guys what I've been learning about these last couple months. All right. So one thing I want you to get clear is that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions. We are simply observing those things. Okay. We are simply observing what this body is doing, what he's feeling, and what he's thinking about. The reason why I say that is because when those thoughts from the ego pop up, remember, the ego is just your old programs, old patterns, old stories, old beliefs, just stored up inside of yourself, inside of your mind. And this ego likes to survive. I mean, it wants to survive. It thinks death. It thinks it's gonna die if it's still, if it's quiet. It wants to control and wants to predict. And so it fills you up with a bunch of thoughts. It fills you up with a bunch of trying to predict, trying to control. And that's what happens when people are overthinking. It's their ego trying to predict an outcome, or they're attached to an outcome, so they're trying to control the situation. And that's what the ego thrives off of. And so when we get in those spirals of overthinking or frustration of, things that happened in the past, or regret, it's just the ego feeding off of things to make it sort of, it's like a payoff for itself. It's negative for us, but it's a positive for it, or it's so it could feed itself. And once you can get clear on that, knowing that, all right, anytime I do feel those negative emotions, anytime I do get these negative thoughts, all I gotta do is surrender them. First, of course, become aware of them, surrender them, and then just focus on these new thoughts, right? But this is where the theme comes in. You see, of course, with the ego being the thing that's trying to keep you alive and survive, and I just said the same thing twice, predict and control. You might be wondering, well, if he's trying to keep me alive, well, why is that a bad thing? It doesn't allow you to be fully present. A lot of people like to worry about money, or how they're going to get their next, how they're going to make this happen, or how they're going to make that happen, and they end up getting so worried, so worked up. But in reality, when the time does come up where they need to pay off this thing, or when the bill does come up, you always manage to pay it. When the groceries are time to be bought, you're always time to buy it. When it's time to invest in yourself, somehow you always make the money. And so it just goes to show you that, God does have control. You don't have to worry about, worry and fear and doubt is simply just an illusion. The more you give into those fears, those doubts, those worries, the more you make it real. That's how you kind of manifest it inside your life. And so this is how you become not a slave of your thoughts. It starts with just focusing on things that serve you. All right? Instead of focusing on the things the ego wants to crave off of, whether it's predicting an outcome, attaching itself to an outcome, getting so worked up or frustrated about different things. Instead of being like that, you can be still, be one, be whole, having that knowingness that God is in control, knowingness that as long as you surrender everything to God, He'll take care of you. I think that's what most people miss. A lot of people miss the fact that just because I surrender everything to God doesn't mean I can't get what I want. Doesn't mean I can't become the person I want to be. You use power instead of just trying to force your way there. It's power versus force. It's a book I read, actually. With God being your source, being your source, being the power, that's within you. I like to believe there's a Holy Spirit within us. I believe Jesus Christ is within us, and it's just our ego clouding that reality, clouding that truth within us. And so when it comes to us continually surrendering our old programs, our old beliefs, our old patterns to reveal who we're supposed to be, who we're meant to be, that God has planned for us. That's what I believe this whole spiritual journey is about. I believe it's about focusing on what God has for us, surrendering the things that are holding us back, the ego stuff, and just having that knowingness, that inner peace that he is in control. And that's how you become you don't become a slave of your thoughts anymore. Whenever a worry comes up, it's just an illusion. Whenever fear comes up, it's an illusion. Whenever frustration or anger comes up, whether it's for the past or from the future, you're not living in this present moment. That's the key. Living in this present moment. I think that's most important. In this present moment is where God is. God is always present, okay? And so if you're living in the future, you can't live where God is at, because, not saying he's not there. I'm just saying, like, you can't experience his full peace and presence if you're not present. Hopefully that made sense. I think I was tongue twisting. But yeah, I want you to take a step back sometimes and look at what you have. Look at your circumstances. Is it really worth you worrying about? Is it really worth you stressing about? Can you take some time off to maybe meditate, maybe go into prayer, maybe read a book, maybe read the Bible, get off your phone, go out for a walk? I know the weather is getting better for most people around the world. And just enjoy life, I think that's the purest way to live. I always say that, but it's true, being in this present moment. When you stop saying as well, so if you catch me again, you can smack me. So so I'm kind of blanking out. I have nothing else to say. It really is this simple. I think that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start making these videos a lot more simpler. I think I'm gonna start making them a lot less, so much value, so much different things, and just keep it strategic and simple. Strategic, efficient. I like that one better. Because then you guys get to actually consume it in bite-sized pieces, and the more and more you consume, the more and more you understand, and you also start understanding my language. And then when I do get into deeper breakdowns and stuff like that, well, it's a lot easier for you to break down because you've had those bite-sized samples. You're not a slave of your thoughts. You are simply just observing those thoughts, observing those emotions. I can get into this part, okay? The emotions, they are what create thoughts, okay? Thoughts and emotions go two and two. They go together. That's what I've been experiencing lately. And when those thoughts or visions or fantasies pop up, where it's like different scenarios, because I'll be honest with you, I'll open up with you guys, all right? I like to say that I'm over my previous girlfriend, but of course the ego it still has the attachment, or it still likes to try to predict and control, or try just making me get in that downward spiral. And now you may be thinking, man, this ego sucks. Just understand that it's just the younger version of you. It's just that baby of you. It's just those old stories and programs and patterns and beliefs. And so learning to accept and forgive it is ultimately how you stop creating that battle within yourself. Stop fighting yourself and just accept yourself and forgive yourself. That's key. Back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So it would always pop up different scenarios, like whether she's with this person, or what she's doing, or if all different things, right? I know it sounds kind of like, what are you talking about? But it goes to show that once I realize that these thoughts aren't who I am, I'm not creating these thoughts, I could just look away. I'll acknowledge that it's there and be like, yeah, okay. And then just focus on something I want to actually focus on, whether it's just being present. Because most of the times when I'm fantasizing or daydreaming of these things, I'm not present, and I'm giving attention to something that's not even real. And so it's like, if I can refocus my things to something I want to focus on, whether it's something I have to do right now, or it's just literally being present and enjoying what I have around me, that's how you get rid of this stuff. Those thoughts will become less and less powerful because you give it less attention. The less attention you give, the less power it has over you. And so stop giving those thoughts that keep you in a cycle attention, and just learn to refocus. Be in this present moment. And stop giving into the ego. Stop giving into your old patterns, your old thoughts. And do it for the love for yourself. Don't do it and don't feel shameful for not, it's gonna sound stupid. Don't feel shameful for not thinking about these things. Or don't feel stressed for not thinking about things in the future. Understand and know that God has your back. Know that you're gonna be all right. Because if you weren't gonna be all right, then I don't think you'd be in right now in front of your laptop or phone, whatever you're watching this video, because all those stresses and worries that you were worrying about, what it came true, and you might not be here right now. You know what I mean? So just know that he's always there for you. He's always watching your back. He's always there. And that's another thing. Sorry, I was getting into the feelings part, but though those times where I do give energy to those daydreams or fantasies and stuff like that, emotions pop up, and it's like guilt, it's like shame, it's like worry, it's like whatever. You gotta understand that these emotions, they're like waves. They will go, at the tip, then crash, and then they'll go back to smooth water. That's how emotions and thoughts are. They will go, they'll peak, they'll try getting the most attention, wave, hey, look at me, and then as soon as it gives up, boom, it goes away, it dissolves, it goes back into stillness. And that's how you get over these emotions as well. Now, I'm not saying, of course, there's gonna be some emotions where you have to let out. I know grief, loss, is something you gotta let out. When luckily I wasn't so hard on myself, because a lot of people in this nowadays culture believe that men can't cry. I like to say it different. So when me and her did break up or whatever, I did. I did cry. I let out that loss because I had such a deep attachment. Allowing yourself to cry, like those type of emotions, that's okay. But when it comes to like anger, when it comes to like fear, when it comes to shame, when it comes to apathetic feelings, where it's like helplessness, you don't want to express those. Sure, you might think punching a pillow and screaming on a pillow might relieve your anger, but that's just you giving energy to what you're trying to get rid of at the end of the day. But yeah, if you have to grieve. I'm not saying you can't cry if someone dies, someone leaves. That's the only thing I believe that you can actually express your emotions. You can express your feelings, because that's filtering it out. That's what I believe. And so during this journey, when those thoughts are coming up, just remind yourself that you're not these thoughts, you're not these emotions. And if you do get caught up in those daydreams or those fantasies, understand that it's an opportunity for you to learn. The fact that you become aware that, I was too caught up in this daydream, next time it happens, you won't. Next time this happens, you won't get caught up on it. Next time another scenario like that one pops up, it won't happen. And I believe it's possible. Now, I can do another scenario when it's like, I've gotten so much better, and I'm so happy for myself. I'm like so happy, because I used to stress about money a lot. I'd be worried, like, this week, how am I going to make this? Or this month, what am I going to do? How am I going to be able to afford that? And I've let go. I know that I'm going to be all right. I don't know how it happens. I do not know anything. I just know that it will happen. I don't know how the money will come in. I just know God will provide. God is my source, not money. And I want you to remind yourself the same thing, that God is your source and not anything external. Hopefully that clicks. But yeah, and I was able to let go of money. I was able to let go of worrying and doubting and fearing of different things, because I just know that everything's going to play out the way it's supposed to play out. As long as I continue to surrender and walk under God's path, then there's nothing there to stop me. And yeah, I just believe that I'm abundant. That's something I believe. Instead of fearing and believing that I was poor or broke, or a lot of people that's people's language. I'm broke, I'm poor. Instead of believing that, I believe that I'm an abundant person. And even though I had $60 in my account, I still believed that I was an abundant person. And then the same day, I made $500. It just came out of nowhere, and I was like, I guess this is who I am. It's that assumption, and I like to get in the power of the law of assumption as well. One of these videos, but hopefully this is a good guideline for you guys to understand. You want your thoughts, you want your emotions, you're simply observing them. So let go, surrender. God is your source. Stop worrying, stop fearing. Hopefully you heard that correctly. Stop fearing, and just focus on the positive things. Joy, courage, peace, knowingness, wholeness, oneness, love. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I am opening up a community this week if you are interested in joining. I will be going over this stuff weekly. I'm excited for what's to come. So if you are interested, feel free to DM me. It's about the spiritual stuff. I'm gonna help everyone in that community align their goals with God and become successful with God. get their desires and become revealed, help them reveal who they need to be. That's my ultimate thing. Reprogramming the subconscious mind, changing their beliefs, being like Jesus. Honestly, I like that sort of saying. You know, of course we can't be perfect, but striving for it is always a good thing. I think that's what Kobe said. Rest in peace. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And yeah, my Instagram's gonna be linked down below. God bless.